Okay, I want you to close your eyes for a second. Imagine you're in the cockpit. You've just rotated, noses up. You're heavy with fuel.
Right.
You are climbing out through about 2,000 feet. It's a totally standard departure. And then, boom.
The sound every pilot dreads.
Exactly. And it's not just a noise. It's a physical sensation.
Wow.
A massive bang, like a shotgun going off right next to your head. The whole airframe shudders.
Your heart rate spikes.
Also, absolutely. Probably hitting, what, 120, 130 beats per minute? Yeah. It's pure startle reflex.
It is. Pure biology. And for decades, your training, your muscle memory, everything has screamed one thing at that moment.
Engine damage.
Explosion. Something has physically broken. It just bypasses the logical brain entirely.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Because if you're flying an Airbus today, or at least as of the November 2025 update cycle, the manual is telling you to ignore that instinct.
It's telling you to ignore your ears.
That is the headline.
Yeah.
And it's a massive, massive shift in philosophy.
It really is.
We are diving deep into the Airbus Flight Operations Manual November 2025 update. And I want to be clear right off the bat. This is not just a routine, we fixed a typo on page 50 kind of update.
Not at all. We are seeing changes to the FCOM, that's the Flight Crew Operating Manual,
Right.
the FCTM, the Techniques Manual, and the QRH, the Quick Reference Handbook.
Yeah.
These are basically the Bibles of operation.
And these updates, they fundamentally alter how pilots are supposed to diagnose failures, even how they handle the aircraft on the ground. And that's our whole mission for this deep dive.
Yeah.
We all know the drill, a new update comes out, and most pilots, they scan the highlights page.
They sign the read and sign.
They sign the paper to stay legal, and they get back to flying.
Which is dangerous. I would argue it's actually negligent. Because if you just scan those highlights, you might miss the fact that the procedure you've had drilled into your muscle memory for 10 years is now wrong.
So we're going to bypass all the minor formatting stuff. We are focusing strictly on the high-impact operational changes.
Yeah, the stuff that matters.
We're talking new engine damage criteria, a total rewrite of the emergency evacuation philosophy, some critical new SOPs.
And some technical gotchas on system resets. These are the changes that will actually affect how you fly the line tomorrow.
So let's start with the big one, the one that honestly made me do a double take. The engine damage paradigm shift.
This is huge. It really is. For years, the criteria for assessing engine damage in the Airbus world included a very specific phrase.
Loud noise or explosion noise.
Exactly. If you heard that, it was a primary cue. Go straight to the damage checklist.
And now
it's gone. Deleted. Explicitly removed from the engine damage criteria list in both the FCTM and the FDONM.
So just to be crystal clear, if I hear that massive bang, that is no longer technically evidence of engine damage.
That is correct. The new textbook answer, so to speak, is that your assessment has to rely strictly on engine parameter checks.
You have to look at the screens.
You have to look at the EWD, the engine and warning display, or the system display page. That's your truth now.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because this feels so counterintuitive. Why would they remove the noise criterion? I mean, a loud bang usually means something bad happened.
Oh, usually, yes, something has happened. But bad doesn't always mean structural damage, and that's the crucial distinction Airbus is making.
You're talking about a compressor stall.
Exactly. A stall is violent, it's loud, you feel it kick the airframe. In the past, crews would hear that bang, adrenaline takes over, and they'd assume the engine had just, torn itself apart.
And the consequence of that assumption is that they go down the wrong checklist.
Precisely. They treat it as severe damage instead of a stall. And that leads to hesitation or the wrong path entirely.
So you don't even attempt to relight?
You don't. You shut down an engine that might have been recoverable. You treat a recoverable stall as a catastrophic failure.
So the manual is trying to override that startle factor. It's forcing you to be a cold, hard data analyst in the middle of a crisis.
Yes. Airbus data shows that loud noise is just not a reliable indicator of internal structural damage. Your ears can lie to you. The sensors don't.
Okay, so if I can't trust my ears, what are the specific parameters I'm looking for now?
You're looking for N1, N2, EGT, and vibration. Those are your truth tellers.
So walk me through it. I hear the bang. I force myself not to yell engine damage. I look at the screen. What am I asking myself?
You're looking for signs of seizure. You're asking, is the N1 rotor seizing? Is it at 0? Is N2 at 0? Is the vibration reading just completely off the scale?
And if the answer is no...
If the answer is no, and it's just fluctuating parameters or high EGT, you're probably just dealing with a stall.
This brings us to what the instructors are calling the startle trap.
It is a trap. The warning in the update is so specific. Do not paint yourself into a corner. If you misdiagnose a stall as severe damage because of a noise, you've just limited your options.
You decided the engine's dead when it might just be sick.
Exactly. It's asking you to suppress a very real survival instinct in favor of digital trust.
Which is a recurring theme. Trust the system logic, not your gut. Speaking of doing it yourself versus trusting the system, let's move to the second major theme, the SOP adjustments. This is all about who flies and who switches.
This is one of those changes that sounds so minor on paper.
Just a sentence or two.
Right, but it changes the entire choreography of the cockpit.
So the source describes a scenario we can all relate to. You're the pilot flying. You click off the autopilot.
Your hand flying the jet.
Yeah. Then ATC gives you a new altitude. The instinct for so many pilots is to just reach up and dial it in yourself.
The helper instinct. You want to fly the plane and manage the systems.
But the new rule says, stop.
Right. The new standardization is absolute. When you're flying manually, APOF, all flight control unit entries have to be done by the pilot monitoring.
All of them. Speed, heading, altitude, everything.
All of them, even the vertical mode. If your hands are on the stick and throttles, they should not be reaching up to the glare shield. Period.
And the rationale for this is really about trajectory control.
It's purely about that. Think about the biomechanics of it. Your hand flying, maybe on an approach. You reach up with one hand to twist a knob.
Your body shifts.
Your body twists. And you inadvertently put a little input into the side stick. You wobble. You destabilize the approach.
Or worse, if you're in the clouds.
If you're an IMC, that head movement can induce spatial disorientation, vertigo.
So the instructor's corner advice here is pretty strict then, even if you really want to pull open climb yourself.
You keep your hands on the thrust levers and the stick. And you command the action verbally. You say, pull open climb, set altitude 5,000, and you let the PM do the work.
It creates a much cleaner division of labor.
It does. It prevents the PF from becoming overloaded or distracted. It's just safer. It forces you to communicate.
Okay, let's move from handling the aircraft to handling the data. There's a new line item in the after-start flow that caught my eye.
Ah, yes, the data integrity check.
It seems small, but the implication is, well, it's startling. The update says immediately after checking the nose wheel steering disconnect memo.
So right after engine start.
The pilot flying has to do a specific cross-check. You have to compare the FLAX temp or Durati level on the EWD against the perf takeoff page.
Right.
Why? I mean, we punch the numbers into the FMS. We generally trust them.
It comes down to the FADC, the full authority digital engine control.
The engine's brain.
The brain. And Airbus has identified a risk. It's rare, but it's there of data corruption. It's possible for the system to display an erroneous thrust setting that doesn't match what you programmed.
That sounds very significant.
It is critical. Imagine you've calculated your performance for a heavy takeoff on a short, contaminated runway. You need a very specific thrust rating.
Okay.
But the data is corrupted, and the system defaults to a lower thrust without you noticing, and then you lose an engine at V1.
You don't have the performance margins you thought you had.
Exactly. You pull back on the stick and realize the remaining engine is not giving you the power you planned for.
This connects right back to golden rule number 1. Fly, navigate, communicate. Part of flying is ensuring the machine is configured correctly.
It's a sanity check. I asked for Flex 50. Does the engine screen say Flex 50? It's that simple, but it's critical.
Let's talk about ground ops. Winter is coming up in the Northern Hemisphere, so this next one is timely.
The cold weather update. And this is a classic case of what we call normalizing deviance.
I've seen it. You're taxiing out to a remote de-icing bay. You're in line. You're burning fuel.
And you think, hey, I'll save a minute. I'll do my flight control check while we taxi.
The time saver trap. Get it done now so you can go right after the spray.
And the new limitation says,
don't. It says if you're taxiing to de-icing, do not move the flight controls until you are fully de-iced.
And it's a hard rule for a mechanical reason. If there's ice or slush on the control surfaces or sensors, you can actually damage them.
Or just confuse the computer.
Exactly. You generate a misleading ECAM warning. The computer sees resistance and flags a fault.
So now you've got your fluid, but you've also got a flight control fault on the screen.
You haven't saved time. You've just canceled the flight.
So clean plane, then check controls.
Simple as that.
While we're on these little technical gotchas, there's a specific note about a system reset, the ventilation system.
Ah, yes. The Venogen Avian CS SYS fault. This catches so many people out in the sim.
The QRH has a reset procedure, but the update highlights a step that people always miss.
The issue comes up when the aircraft is in the override configuration. This can happen automatically, for instance, in heavy rain to keep water out of the avionics bay.
Okay, so picture it. You're on approach, it's pouring, workload is high, and you get a vent fault.
You open the QRH, it says try to reset, but, and this is the big but, you can't just hit the reset button.
Right.
The update clarifies you must set the blower and extract push buttons to auto before you attempt the reset.
Why?
Because of the system's hardwiring. If those switches are in OVRD, the reset logic is inhibited. You can press that button all day, nothing will happen. You have to tell the system, I want auto, and then ask for the reset.
It's a perfect example of why you have to do read and do, not from memory.
Exactly. If you try that from memory under stress, you will miss that step.
Let's zoom out a bit. Let's talk philosophy. There's a big change to the emergency evacuation procedure.
This is a rewrite of the FCTM, and it really addresses a cognitive bias. For a long time, the evacuation guidance was
Height assessed.
very heavily biased toward engine fire. The whole mindset assumed the reason you were evacuating was because something was burning.
But that's not always the case.
No. You might be evacuating for a bomb threat, or smoke in the cabin, or severe structural damage after a runway excursion.
So the new text generalizes the technique. It
Yeah.
removes that tunnel vision.
Right. It clarifies responsibilities for any evacuation. For example, if you're evacuating for a bomb threat, looking for fire steps might actually delay you. The old mindset could hurt,
It makes a procedure more adaptable. It treats the crew like decision makers.
which is what they are.
Okay, before we wrap up, I want to hit one specific limitation. This is for the PW LEN 100G operators, the Pratt & Whitney geared turbofan.
A GTF, yeah, on the NEO.
There's a new oil quantity limitation. We all know minimum oil for dispatch, but this introduces duration limit.
It ties quantity to time.
Break that down.
Okay, so if your oil quantity is between 14 and 16.5 quarts, there's now a hard cap. Your maximum flight time is 14 hours.
That is incredibly specific.
It's based on consumption rates. They're saying, sure, 14 quarts is enough to take off safely. It's enough for a 6-hour flight, but it is not enough to stay airborne for 16 hours.
So checking the oil isn't just, is it above the red line anymore?
No, it's now a mission planning question. Is it enough oil for the duration? If you're planning a 15-hour sector, 14 quarts is a no-go.
Okay, we've covered a lot. Let's try and recap the main takeaways.
Let's boil it down.
Number 1, engine damage criteria.
No more diagnosing by ear. Ignore the bang. Look at the data. N1, N2, EGT, vibration. Avoid that startle trap.
Number 2, hands off the FCU.
If the autopilot is OFF, the PF flies. The PM manages the knobs. No reaching.
Number 3, trust but verify your thrust.
After start, check the EWD against the PRF page. Make sure the computer agrees with you on the power setting.
And number 4, couple the ground rules.
Don't wiggle the stick on the way to de-icing. And for that ventilation reset, remember, switches to auto first.
You know, when we look at all these updates together, what does this tell us about the direction of aviation safety?
It's fascinating, isn't it? We're moving the needle by addressing human behavior just as much as mechanical systems. These updates are acknowledging that we're prone to startle responses, to helper instincts, to taking shortcuts.
So the manual's evolving to protect us from ourselves.
In a way, yes, it's structuring the environment to minimize the impact of our own human fallibility.
Which brings us to a provocative thought to leave our listeners with.
I was thinking about this. Airbus removed sound from the diagnosis criteria because our senses are unreliable under stress.
Right, our ears aren't calibrated instruments.
They're not. So as aircraft become more and more automated, what other pilot senses might eventually be removed from the manuals?
What do you mean by that?
Well, we still rely on feeling vibration, right? We rely on sensing acceleration, the seat of your pants feeling. But those are notoriously unreliable. Someday, will a manual say, ignore what you feel? If the screen says you are climbing, even if your stomach says you're falling.
That is a terrifying and fascinating thought. The day the manual tells you to ignore your own body entirely.
We're already halfway there.
Something to think about. Make sure you read the full update, everyone. Fly safe.
Safe flying.